If you hold any meme coins like Floki, Dogecoin, Shiba Inu, Pepe, Dog with Hat, Bonk, or virtually any altcoin, if you've been around the crypto industry for a while, you know that China has historically banned Bitcoin at key pivotal points to shake out the retail, to allow more institutional investors to dive into crypto, to be able to pack their bags before the masses. And in this video, I'm going to share some key details with you for what China is about to do. They're about to do the unthinkable, and it's going to directly affect Bitcoin. It's going to directly affect Ethereum. So for the next few minutes, I'm going to be diving into the charts and showing you exactly what you need to know if you hold Floki or if you hold any other meme coins. That way you can make a lot of money this bull run and become the first millionaire in your family tree. So if you're feeling bullish, comment 777. If you're feeling blessed, comment 777. If you're going to become the first millionaire in your family tree, you know what to do. Confirm it by tapping that subscribe button. Let's run it. All right, bull runners, welcome back to the channel. So if we're looking at the top meme coins by market capitalization right now, the whole entire meme coin market is roughly $49 billion, and it's taking a dip right now. Dogecoin down 12% the past week, Shiba Inu down 12%, Pepe's up 3%, Dog with Hat down almost 10%, Bonk is up 21%, Floki down 6%. So when will the bleeding stop across the board? You know, most meme coins are down, whether they're on Ethereum chain, Binance Smart Chain, Base. You know, we saw some massive dips happen over the weekend, but is this something you should be concerned about, or is this completely normal for what to expect during this stage of the bull run? Because when we've seen the amount of gains that have taken place since, you know, February of this year, for Floki, we look right here, the volume in 24 hours was 23 million. Then by March 11th, the volume was over $1 billion. So when we see this much revenue come in and this much money come in really, really fast to the market cap of these top projects in the meme coin space, then we're bound to see 10, 20, 30, 40, even 50% corrections or higher, especially the further down the list that we go when we're seeing these, you know, $100 million market cap projects. The volatility gets insane. So if you can't stomach this volatility, then crypto is clearly not for you. And as always, this isn't financial advice. All I provide is education, informational purposes only. That's what these videos are for. I encourage you to go consult your financial advisor because crypto is very risky. And if you're entering into the markets right now while Bitcoin's sitting at $63,000, I do have a warning for you, but on the macro scale, I do have some exciting news that I'm going to bring to you that completely shifts the game for what's happening over in the East in crypto. So the first thing we need to look at before we get into, you know, the Floki chart, Ethereum chart, and then talk about what's happening over in China is we need to talk about the Bitcoin price chart. Because since November of 2022, Bitcoin rallied over 370%. Even before the halving took place, we're still up 300% after the halving from there. So what we see at the bottom of the screen is the open interest. Basically, this shows the total amount of leverage that's on the table. And what happens here is we see the leverage build up over time, and then there's liquidity flushes where the leverage gets wiped out. And these leverage traders that are doing like 20x leverage, 50x, 100x, some of them are even doing 200x leverage. It builds and builds and builds, and then we see liquidity flushes take place. And so where we see these liquidity flushes happen is in a matter of like a week or less, where we see rapid price drops. So for example, when we reached the bear market bottom back in November of 2022, you could see right here that the open interest was upwards of $4.5 billion. We see this ascending support right here, and then we saw this liquidity flush where Bitcoin dropped from like $21,000 down to like $15,500. It dropped nearly 30% in about 2 weeks. And then the open interest dropped from about $4 billion down to around $2 billion, liquidated a lot of long traders that were long in the market at 21,000, thinking that the market had bottomed, for one final shakeout event. And then we started building a new ascending support from December of 2022 all the way until August of 2023. You can also see in the Bitcoin price chart, the price bounced off of this point multiple times right here on March 10th of 2023, right here on June of 2023. And then when we saw another shakeout event take place was around August of 2023, when the price went from 28,000 all the way down to 25,000. Also, the open interest went from about 3.8 billion all the way down to like 2.4 billion. So another shakeout event. Then the interest in the leverage traders start opening up new positions and it starts building back up again. We see another ascending support form. We see the price rebound out of there. Then we also see another ascending support right here on the 23rd of January, 2024. We haven't yet backtested it. So we see a key psychological support at about $60,000. But one thing that's interesting to note is the open interest got all the way up here at about $6.8 billion. So this consolidation period that's happening right now is to flush out a lot of leverage traders but we aren't quite back to this ascending support on the open interest indicator right here, which tells me we're not quite out of the woods yet for Bitcoin and the rest of the altcoin market, because the open interest is still upwards of $4.7 billion. So leading into May, I would expect Bitcoin to either trade sideways or further sell off to the downside back to this upward trending ascending support line right here, right around 60K. And simultaneously, the open interest could draw down as well too to this ascending support right here and start working its way on up through here, very similar to what happened the past few times from January of 2023 all the way until August of 2023. And then also from September of 2023 to where we are today. So if we see the open interest come down, potentially even below this ascending support, very similar to what we saw happen right here in June of 2023, where the open interest was just grinding up right here on this ascending support, while the price was seeing a sell-off in this falling wedge back down to this ascending support on the price chart, and we saw a price rebound out of here. So I would expect Bitcoin to do something similar, where the price just grinds down closer and closer to 60K, also intersecting with this ascending support right here that you can see this yellow dashed line right here, and then for the price to rebound out of here to the upside. And then the open interest would rebound out to the upside as well too off of this ascending support. And that is very well what could push Bitcoin upwards of 80, 90, potentially even 100, maybe $120,000 for the next leg up before we cool off for a little bit, and then potentially see another liquidity flush to the downside where the open interest would break this ascending support and come back down anywhere between $2 and $3 billion, and then have to work its way back out of here again, where we could see a much deeper correction for Bitcoin to shake out a lot of the traders that would be entering in upwards of $80,000 to $100,000. And then depending on what the Fed's doing with interest rates, depending on what's happening around election time, I would expect the Democrats to pump the markets even more. So very similar to what happened back here. For this shakeout event to break the ascending support, I would expect another liquidity flush at some point in the markets to bring the open interest back down between $2 and $3 billion. So if we see a liquidity flush happen later this summer, maybe August, closer to September, or we see it happen sooner, maybe it happens in May, and we see a liquidity shakeout event, either way, I believe we would build more momentum going into Q4 of 2024 for an ultimate leg to the upside. So if we were to see a shakeout event happen sooner, it would be completely normal for Bitcoin to go down to like $49,000, $50,000, which no financial advice, but would be a great opportunity to back up the truck for your favorite altcoins, because the next leg to the upside for Ethereum is going to be massive. If we're looking at Ethereum to the Bitcoin price chart and then comparing this to the Bitcoin to the US dollar price chart, we see a few key things here, where I circled where the halving took place back in May of 2020, and also the most recent halving that just took place like less than 2 weeks ago. You can see on the Bitcoin to the US dollar price chart, when Bitcoin bottomed out in December of 2018, Ethereum saw a further sell off to the downside while Bitcoin was rallying. So Bitcoin was outperforming Ethereum in the early stages of the bull run, and Ethereum was underperforming Bitcoin until the halving took place. And then once the halving took place, you can see right here, if we were to measure from, I believe it was like May 11th that it took place, it took roughly like 60 plus days, so about 2 months for Ethereum to start outperforming Bitcoin. Ethereum got rejected from this horizontal support right here compared to Bitcoin, came back down for one final backtest of this descending resistance as support, and then tried to retest the resistance one more time, one final shakeout event. And this is while Bitcoin was forming new all-time highs. So once Bitcoin starts really breaking upwards of $80, $90, $100,000, Bitcoin will start rallying first, and we'll more than likely see Ethereum lag behind. Even though Ethereum's price would be appreciating, Bitcoin's price would be appreciating faster. But eventually what will most likely happen is the Ethereum to Bitcoin price chart here on the top of the screen will flip this descending resistance as support. We could see it back test or come close towards Q4 of 2024, and then we work our way back out of here towards this resistance at like 0.08 to 0.09, which is roughly the resistance for the Ethereum Bitcoin price chart that was at the exact same point when Bitcoin was at the low at like $15,500-ish. And also, if we compare this back to the past, this was the similar resistance, after the low when Bitcoin was all the way down here in December of 2018, Ethereum to Bitcoin's price chart was forming this resistance right here. So I would expect this to be the next stop for Ethereum to Bitcoin's price chart within this range right here, Q4 of 2024. So even if we see further to the downside for Bitcoin to like $49,000, $50,000, the next leg up for Bitcoin will be absolutely massive, and Ethereum is going to make major moves Q4 of 2024. Now, if we look at the Ethereum to the US dollar price chart and see how many days after the halving it took for Ethereum to break the all-time high back from 2020, it took like 200 and almost 60 days to do that. And currently the halving just recently took place like 10 days ago. So if we were to measure 230 plus days, that would be by December of 2024 for Ethereum to break the all-time high. So my only concern here in the short term, the warning that I mentioned at the beginning of this video that I have for you, is that Bitcoin broke the all-time high before the halving, and also Ethereum broke this zone of resistance before the halving as well too. When we look back at the last bull run cycle, Ethereum was well below this resistance at like $350, which was support back here for the complacency stage bounce, which was also the dead cat bounce up to right here by April of 2018 of nearly $900. Very similar to what we saw here on the 7th of February for the complacency stage bounce right here, which is what pushed Ethereum up for the dead cat bounce to about $3,600 before falling off a shelf. So the resistance for Ethereum was roughly $2,100. And if we were to just draw a horizontal box right here on the bottom of the screen, what's happening right now just on the price chart looks very similar to what happened right here after the halving. So in my opinion, one of two things is going to happen over the next month. Number one, we see further sell off to the downside to back test this resistance as support because we flipped it, which would also be the ascending support on this yellow dashed line that you could see right here. So similar to what happened during like COVID's back test right here, then we started working our way on out of there. So I would expect a rebound from this level, Q3 and Q4 of 2024. So this would be a great opportunity to consider adding some Ethereum to your portfolio if it does dip down to $2,100 to $2,300. Or number two, we just kind of hover where we're at right now and we start breaking out in the month of May to retest the all-time high and potentially pass the all-time high if Bitcoin is breaking out. And on the Ethereum to Bitcoin price chart, Ethereum starts breaking this descending support a lot earlier. And then on the next pullback for Ethereum would be the back test of this descending resistance as support. So either of those outcomes over the macro end with a bullish sentiment of us going up, regardless of whether we dip in the short term or not, because of what I'm going to share with you towards the end of this video. So I've done a lot of research so you guys don't have to. And I know this can get complicated when I'm showing you different things on the charts. That's why I want to show you multiple viewpoints on these charts so you can come to your own conclusion. So when we look at total 2, which is the crypto total market cap excluding Bitcoin, and we compare that to something like Floki's chart, you can see with this massive breakout that brought the market upwards of 900 and $1 trillion, 1.2, with this sell-off taking place, we can see it match up identically to the sell-off that happened on Floki's chart, with Floki rallying all the way up here, and you can see this descending resistance right here. It's very, very similar right now. If we see a further sell-off to the downside, the support to watch floor on total 2, which would be roughly around 840 to $900 billion. So if we see another dip within this range, I would expect Floki to see a sell-off down here. But long term, this is going to be one of the top meme coin projects to watch on this list, because once Floki finds its bottom, if its bottom's not already in right here with the dip of the rest of the market for 13th of April, like let's say Bitcoin starts breaking out now, then liquidity is going to be flowing into Floki. It's going to be flowing into the rest of the meme coin market, and we would see a break of some point. But if we see a further drawdown leading into May with the market selling off, then total 2 might see another dip to the downside. So depending on how low we go for total 2 will really determine how low we go for something like Floki. But overall, the macro market sentiment is looking very, very bullish, because if you guys watch my previous videos, this is exactly what happened, all the way back here in 2020 by Q4, where we saw the altcoin market see a sell-off and a consolidation right here. And it lasted about 90 days, so for about 3 months. And then the altcoin market went absolutely parabolic after that, upwards of $1.4 trillion. So if we were to measure from the recent high, 90 days is by like June 10th of this year, so the middle of the summer. So more than likely, Bitcoin could form some type of falling wedge. Same thing with the total 2 altcoin market. And then we see a breakout, and then we see massive injection of liquidity come into the market for the next major leg up once the open interest has come back down to the ascending support. And then what that would look like for Floki is a break of this descending resistance, and then for Floki to start working its way out of here alongside Dogecoin, Shiba Inu, Dog with Hat, Pepe, Bonk, and the rest of the meme coin market. And the reason why this correlates with Ethereum is because when we go back here on coinmarketcap.com and we look at Floki right here, when Ethereum starts to break out, that allows more liquidity on exchanges like Binance and Uniswap that are using Ethereum for top traders, massive hedge funds, and smart retail to swap their Ethereum for a project like Floki that would have better returns in the long term. And then also because Floki is cross-bridge on the Binance Smart Chain, as BNB grows in value with total 2, then smart investors would be swapping their BNB for Floki too. Now, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just telling you what's about to happen in these markets if we see Ethereum and BNB appreciate. Now, considering Ethereum is the largest altcoin by market capitalization, the second largest cryptocurrency in the world, and BNB is the third largest crypto in the world and the second largest altcoin by market capitalization with $87 billion, and Ethereum's $386 billion. Floki is sitting at only $1.5 billion. So I do expect this project to be one of the largest performers in the meme coin market, specifically on the Ethereum blockchain and on the Binance Smart Chain as well too. Now, from a technical analysis standpoint, this is lining up to happen for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the rest of the altcoin market. But from a fundamental standpoint, what's the catalyst that would cause this? Where would this money come from into the charts? Well, Chinese Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs are set to launch at 9:30 a.m. tomorrow, so on Tuesday. So you guys need to be ready for this. Press conference summary is out. Here's the translation and the highlights. So they're expecting a larger first day than the USA ETFs, in-kind redemptions and subscriptions, wallet-to-wallet transfers. Mainland Chinese investors, though, are not allowed to invest in Hong Kong's cryptocurrency spot ETFs. And I'll explain why this is and why this is a big deal if you're in the United States, on how you're having like a front-runner advantage here. Hong Kong issuers do not care if the US SEC declares Ethereum as a security. This is massive, guys, because in this briefing, the head of digital asset management and family wealth of China Asset Management over in Hong Kong and the head of OSL and ETF custody business answer the following questions. Number one is, what does China Asset Management over in Hong Kong think about the scale of capital inflows on the first day of listing of their cryptocurrency ETFs tomorrow? So Zhuao Hakang, I think I butchered his last name, but he's saying, I am confident that the trading scale of the Hong Kong virtual asset spot ETF on the first day of listing can exceed the trading scale of the first day in the United States. So we'll see if this happens, but the issuance scale of the 10 US Bitcoin spot ETF issuers on the first day in January 10th this year was 125 million US dollars. Hong Kong will exceed 125 million dollars, and China is confident to become the ETF issuer with the largest trading volume on the first day among the three issuers. So what's the saying? You know, first they laugh at you, you know, China laughs at Bitcoin, then they try and fight, they try and ban it, and then you win, right? So what did China do, you know, month after month after month? How many times did they ban Bitcoin, unban Bitcoin mining? And now they're getting into ETFs. So Bitcoin's won, guys. The crypto industry has won. And for those of you that had front runner advantage, that was buying Bitcoin down at the bottom when we were making videos about it, or you're buying altcoins, you guys are sitting up right now, even with this dip. So the details can be revealed to everyone tomorrow morning. We're going to be covering it this week on the channel. And Wang Huang said there will be an announcement from the Hong Kong Stock Exchange at 10:30 a.m. tomorrow morning. But OSL has indeed completed its first day of raising funds for OSL today with two funds, including China AMC, another fund that cooperates with us. Judging from the numbers, the transactions are exceeded far greater than the capital inflow from the US Bitcoin spot ETF on its first day of trading. Now, the next question, in addition to Hong Kong, where else have investors participated in the Hong Kong virtual asset spot ETF? And thanks to the physical subscription method, first of all, investors, including Bitcoin miners, etc., they can use their Bitcoin holdings to directly purchase virtual asset spot ETFs over in Hong Kong. Secondly, in countries and regions that have not yet issued ETFs outside of Hong Kong, such as Singapore and the Middle East, we have also come into contact with a large number of investors who are extremely interested. In addition, although the current spot Bitcoin ETF market in the United States is very large, compared with the United States, Hong Kong uses cash and physical subscriptions and is open for trading during Asian trading hours, which will still attract many American investors. And finally, several family offices in Asia, very wealthy families and overseas, are also very interested in the spot crypto ETFs. And one of the biggest questions that affect retail traders is, can Hong Kong cryptocurrency spot ETFs be open to mainland investors, or will there be a possibility of opening up to mainland investors in the future? And so they said that currently mainland Chinese investors are not allowed to invest in Hong Kong's cryptocurrency spot ETFs. Why is that? Well, Hong Kong's qualified investors, institutional investors, retail investors, and international investors that meet the regulations can all invest in cryptocurrency spot ETFs. And for details, they say consult brokers and sales channels. So they want the wealthy to get in first. They want the wealthy to get even wealthier. So average retail investors that can't get in right now, it's so that the wealthier institutional clients can use them as exit liquidity when they open that up to mainland investors later on. So I think investing in the ETF itself is the stupidest thing you could do. You want to have self-custody, and all you need is to create a centralized exchange account and then follow the instructions on how to be able to get Bitcoin and Ethereum before the masses do and before retail really starts coming back in the market. Because what Coinbase is doing with Base, they're going to be on-ramping hundreds of millions of users over the next few years. And what was also asked is, Hong Kong spot ETF is the first in the world, but if the United States finally determines that Ethereum is a security, will it affect Hong Kong's Ethereum spot ETF if that were to happen? And so they said, probably not, because whether the United States defines Ethereum as a security does not affect the independent decision-making of the Hong Kong Securities Regulatory Commission. The Hong Kong Securities Regulatory Commission has its own set of procedures for determining whether a certain virtual asset is a security and whether it can be open to retail traders. It will not be affected by different opinions between various departments in the United States or ultimately their own unilateral definition to Hong Kong. They also want to emphasize that Hong Kong can be the first in the world to launch an Ethereum spot ETF rather than the United States. The regulation of cryptocurrency in the United States has multiple departments speaking out at the same time, and the SEC can't get their facts straight and try to regulate the market. And Gary Gensler being at the ship is absolutely ridiculous. You guys have seen what's happening with the Ripple lawsuit. So who should supervise cryptocurrencies in Hong Kong has long been decided, namely the China Securities Regulatory Commission. The China Securities Regulatory Commission has given some very clear regulatory frameworks, and Hong Kong has already had a clear definition of Ethereum. Ethereum is not a security in their eyes, but the first non-securities virtual asset to be included in Hong Kong's supervision together with Bitcoin, and it's one of the 2 targets that can be provided to retail investors. And so it's obvious that this is macro bullish for the market. Even in the short term, if we see a sell the news type of event, well, in the macro, institutions are going to scoop up the dip. They're going to back up the truck if we see liquidation events happening. We're going to see Ethereum and we're going to see Bitcoin go higher. Now, will Hong Kong launch other virtual asset ETFs? Is it possible for an XRP ETF? Is it possible for a Chainlink ETF? Is it possible for a Solana ETF? They said that only in Bitcoin and Ethereum for now. We have repeatedly discussed with the China Securities Regulatory Commission the process of how to list coins in compliant transactions in Hong Kong, and he shared this briefly. First, they need the issuer of the virtual asset or themselves to find a legal opinion stating whether the coin is a security or non-security. So, because like Ripple in the Ripple versus the SEC, XRP is not a security on the secondary market. There's a high potential for that to potentially happen and turn the legal opinion of their due diligence on the currency into the detailed research report and submitted to the China Securities Regulatory Commission. After final approval by the Regulatory Commission over there, it will be first opened to professional investors, to the wealthy. When a certain level of liquidity is reached, it will be included. After a period of time within the scope of the index, they can apply to the China Securities Regulatory Commission to upgrade the currency to be available for retail trading. So this is happening right now, guys. They're doing the unthinkable. And when this happens over the next few months and they start gobbling up any dips that ever happen in the markets, that liquidity is going to flow from Ethereum into the meme coin market, and Floki will be right there to absorb a lot of that. If you look at Floki trending over Tesla right now, people are moving from the stock market into the crypto market, specifically starting with Bitcoin, Ethereum, and then trickling on the way down. So with Floki trending over Tesla, it's also trending on X alongside Binance, Pepe, and meme coin season. Notably, both Floki and Pepe are listed on Binance, but Floki has the strongest fundamentals with an ecosystem total value locked. It's exceeding $562 million, surpassing the combined total value locked of all top meme coins, including Dogecoin, Shiba Inu, Doge, and Bonk. So Floki effectively leverages the power of memes while also pioneering innovation and utility. So when we look at the total amount of volume in the past 24 hours on Binance, it's $43 million. On Uniswap, it's only $800,000. On PancakeSwap, almost $670,000. And then it trickles down to the other exchanges like Bybit, OKX, KuCoin, Gate.io, etc. So if Brad Garlinghouse is correct and the entire market cap of this whole industry goes to $5 trillion by the end of this year, we're only at $2.3 trillion. This is one of the main projects you guys want to keep on your watch list. And also another project within their ecosystem that we talked about in several videos, TokenFi, sitting at 10 cents right now, only has a $100 million market cap. So I would expect this project to do very, very well alongside Floki and potentially even have higher upside. So that's why I choose to hold both of them in my portfolio, but that doesn't mean that you should. I just believe in sharing with you guys the projects that I believe will do well. Now, if you want to see other projects that I believe will do well, and you want to get exclusive early access to our underground guidebook for discovering 100x altcoins yourself, that way you can do your own research, then all you need to do right now is go to bullrunners.com. The link will be in the description below. You don't need any previous crypto trading experience. All you need to do is click the button on the page, put in your best email address. You'll be instantly subscribed to our daily video newsletter where we give you the best information to help you prepare for the worst that's yet to come in this economy, because the spending power of the dollar is going to keep going down in value. That's a fact based on inflation, blockchain technology, distributed ledger technology, and cryptocurrencies are going up in value. That's the truth. And together, you know where we're going. We're going camping on the beaches of the moon. So I'll see you guys on the next video. I will see you on bullrunners.com. Links in the description below to our social medias as well too. As always, you know what to do. Stay bullish.